All right. Well, welcome back to the iWealth podcast, where we talk about all things financial, family meetings, right?
Yeah.
It is a big topic. It is extremely hard to do.
Yeah.
And this is something that you have a lot of expertise in, but it's also socially extremely awkward.
Yeah, it is, Matt. I mean, think about sitting down with your mom and dad or grandpa and grandma and talking about money.
No.
Yeah.
It's super weird.
Yeah. It's so important, and I really enjoy it.
Okay.
They're hard meetings. Some are hard. Some go great. Some are hard. But it's so important that a mom and dad sit down with their kids at some point in life and articulate the plan. So hopefully, first of all, they've already have a plan, right? They've got their wills and trusts and those things in order. But secondly, they need to articulate it. And that's where the problem comes in if they don't. So, you know, I've seen it all over the board where mom and dad die. I've got kids calling before dad's in the ground, asking about the money and the situation, and we shoo them away until after the funeral and come back in, and then, you know, maybe upset because it wasn't equal. And we've talked on these podcasts about equally versus equitably.
Yep.
And so, you know, I've had business owners that have one son, let's say, we'll pick on the son that's in the business with him, and then maybe a son and daughter that's not in business.
Yep.
And I've had it where he buys a life insurance policy for the two kids that are not in the business, and when he dies, son A that's in the business gets it all, and B and C that he loves equally aren't going to be treated equitably because they weren't in the business with them, and they're going to get a life insurance policy and get some tax-free money.
Yep.
That works on paper, great. Here's where it doesn't work. When he dies and he's never told them about it, and they show up to the table and they think they're going to be 1/3 owner in the business that they had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Doesn't work. So what I always talk about was mom and dad to get everybody around the table, have the conversation. If they feel you're going to be a jerk, do it to their face.
Yep.
So that they know it's not the brother that's in the business that's the jerk. It's dad that wants this to happen.
Yeah.
It's it's dad and mom's wishes.
Yep.
This happens with farms a lot, where you've got some on the farm and some off of the farm, and how do you treat everybody?
Yep.
Once you get there, you just got to articulate it, because the bottom line is this. I always say we have to do this because we want your kids to get around Thanksgiving Day table together.
Yeah, and not be hating being there.
That's right. Or not even show up.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, or not even make it to the table. So I know we have a better success rate of them getting along when mom and dad are dead, because I've been through this, if mom and dad articulate the plan.
Sure.
So then the question is, like, when? You know, I've got a daughter that's 10. Do I tell her the plan, or what do you know? So obviously the kids need to be old enough. Mom and dad kind of need to be old enough. They've got to kind of have been on some vacations and did their things, and maybe they're in their mid-70s or their 80s or something in that nature, and they have the plan put together on paper. It's done, but now they need to articulate it.
Very cool. So in an ideal world, families that are coming up, whether they're coming through a transition or there's a health thing, sitting down with all of the kids is something that you're kind of helping negotiate those waters, or kind of tread through those waters, and having another person, if I can get you right, having another person in the group that isn't a part of the family is one of the keys that kind of unlocks that door and makes the conversation not so awkward, because you don't have to go right from that into mom making dinner, or go right from that into, okay, now we have to leave the office, and then everyone can go back and have some time to process.
Yeah, it allows me as the advisor to bring up the concept, like, here's what we did for mom and dad, along with the lawyer and the accountants and things, and here's how things are set up to be, and I can present it, and dad can put his rubber stamp on and said, yep, that's the way I want it.
And you get to be the bad guy or the good guy or whatever it is, and it's not directly, it's not directed at mom and dad.
And and this happens, if back to that scenario I painted, if B and C, the kids that are out of the business, if they have a problem with it, bring it up, articulate it. I'll ask those questions, like, how does that make you feel, and those type of things, so that we get that out on the table, and we get over it, and then we move on, and at least, again, 10 years down the road, mom and dad aren't here. Those kids are around Thanksgiving table.
And if they're still bitter, and not angry at each other.
Yeah, and if they're still bitter, they're bitter at dad that's dead, instead of the brother that's in the business.
Or you.
Or me. Yeah. Well, they might be mad at me too. So
hopefully they won't be.
It's just super important. A lot of people put great documents and stuff together. They don't They don't get the plan out there to the kids.
Yeah, and the kids don't know what's happening.
Yep.
So if it's time for a family plan,
Yep.
what's the next step?
Then I think you need to get with an advisor of some sort to help facilitate that family plan. First of all, get it in place. Secondly, have somebody like ourselves sit down with you and articulate that plan to the family.
Yeah, and I think an important thing even for the parents is have a plan, but also have the wiggle room to listen to the kids. Because as a kid, sometimes there's other pieces to the puzzle that maybe mom and dad aren't aware of.
Right.
And I think as a parent, being open to having a plan, but also realizing that your kids get some stake, in that, I think is an important thing for those parents
Super
to do.
important point. I've had it where clients, mom and dad, have changed the plans based upon the conversation around the table.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but they've altered it to make everybody feel right, or something they haven't thought of. Oh, yeah, I didn't know you wanted to do that. They didn't ask on the front end. Just went and did it.
I didn't know that your wife was pregnant. That's
what
I'm thinking of at the back of my head. Oh, that's
yeah. Or I didn't know George wanted to come into the family farm business, the grandson or something. So there's just those things that kind of go on. It's just talking makes sense. No different than my spouse, right? If you're mad at each other or whatever, you got to have a conversation.
A little family tune-up. That's what they shouldn't call it, a family meeting. They should call it a family tune-up.
There you go.
I think you should rebrand it that way.
Yeah.
So, all right. If you need a family tune-up, or you just had a disaster happen, leave it in the comments, and somebody from Iowa will reach out to you, and hopefully you can make some steps in the right direction.
You bet. Thanks, Matt.
Later.